Are you really married to your wife? What does he mean? He had hired a detective to carry out an investigation. When I heard the detective's report, I couldn't hide my surprise at the unexpected results. If my wife uses my frequent night shifts to take advantage of me, I will never forgive her. My name is Joan Smith. I work in a factory, and in 2 months it will be the first anniversary since I got married. My wife Anna, whom I married 10 months ago, is 5 years younger than me, and a very sweet woman we met at a party and hit it off because we have the same last name. We got married after dating for 4 years. Her parents had already passed away, and she had no relatives, so we didn't have a wedding ceremony. We took wedding photos, and that's it. Anna is a regional director of a sales branch. She works in the branch but also travels. We decided to save up by working as much as we could before having children. I work almost always the night shift, which allows me to rest on my days off. I have more days off than other workers because a night shift counts as 2 days of work, and her job also has a flexible schedule. So I could often combine her days off. We went on excursions, had dates, and enjoyed our newlywed life. One day I came home after a night shift and Anna, who should have already gone to work, was still at home. Anna, you don't have time off today, right? I asked her curiously. Yes, that's the question, and she paused as if she would have a hard time getting the words out. Tomorrow I have to go on a business trip, and it's a bit long, so suddenly I decided to take the day off. Okay, how long will it take? I don't know. Maybe a week. Maybe a little longer. I don't know. I'll know until I get there. Okay, good luck with your job. I was surprised by the suddenness and length of the trip. I have 2 days off in a row tomorrow and the day after, so I thought I could spend a relaxing afternoon with Anna. But since it's work, you can't celebrate. So I took Anna to the airport. It took me about 2 hours to drive her, and then 2 hours by plane to New York, where the headquarters is. I left Anna at the airport since I don't go often. I spent some time in the area, had lunch at a famous coffee shop nearby, and then headed home. When I was lying on the couch, exhausted, I found an envelope under the TV that I didn't recognize. I knew that Anna was going on a business trip to the headquarters, and that she would have problems, and she had left something. I felt bad. But I opened the envelope. Inside, there were several photos of Anna, with a man I had never seen, and a girl of about 5 years old. They were in front of a school. What is this? My mind went blank. He is cheating on me, and he has a daughter. An affair. Before I knew it, I found myself calling the workplace, and I told him who I was and asked if Anna was on a business trip. To my surprise, they told me she was on bereavement leave. They also told me that Anna rarely travels from the branch to the head office. Anna told me she was going to be away from home on business, but it was actually a flight leave. I didn't find out anything. I thought she must have lied, and that she had taken time off work to see the man in the photo and his daughter. I looked for a detective agency. I chose one and went to their office the next day, realizing that they had lied to me. For the last 4 years since we started dating until now, I started to feel an emptiness. I must have been tired that day because before I knew it, fell asleep. When I woke up, it was 6 in the morning the next day. My appointment at the detective agency was at 10 in the morning, so I got everything ready and headed to the office. I carefully put the envelope I had found yesterday in a large bag so it wouldn't bend. It was the first time in my life that I saw a detective agency. Everything I thought I should say disappeared from my mind. As soon as I opened the office door, a young man dressed in casual clothes was waiting for me. He looked to be about 20 years old. I was thinking about how young he looked, and he must have read my mind. "Do you think I seem unreliable to be a detective?" he asked me. He smiled in a carefree way that calmed me down. I am new to these kinds of places, so I am a little nervous, I answered hastily. "Go ahead." I sat down, pointed to the couch. Jack and I started talking. I showed him the photos from the envelope that made me suspect the adventure. Jack sorted the photos and started to make copies of the ones that could serve as evidence. He copied the photo of the 3 of them together in front of the school. "I think this will give us a big clue," he said. The name of the school was clearly visible in the photo. He looked up the school on the internet and called them. He called from another room, so I couldn't hear what they were saying on the phone. He found out that. And the girl in the photo was a student at the center but had been on leave, decided to keep an eye on the route they could take to get to school. They told me that since the nursery was in New York, the tuition would be quite expensive. I agreed to the cost of the fee. Actually, I've been interested in stocks and forex since I'm an adult. As soon as I started working, I started investing monthly and made some profits so I could afford to pay the investigation fee. The investigator would have to fly to New York. So I didn't know how long the investigation would take, but since my wife had lied to me and humiliated me, I would do whatever it took to get evidence of what she had done. The detective probably thought that if Anna came back, then the girl in the photo would appear to be at school from the next day onwards. I went about my business as usual. I put the envelopes back where they were the chosen ones. Then I got a text from Anna. Although I had originally planned to be away for a week, she told me, "I'm sorry, my business trip has been extended, so I'll be back on Sunday." As we agreed, I called the detective the day she came home. The detective was ready to start the investigation that afternoon. I got a call from the detective. He gave me some terrible news during the preliminary investigation, and an unexpected situation came to light. What did he mean? I told him I didn't know what to expect. "I'll be back tomorrow. Is there any chance you'll meet me?" He asked if I answered right away. I immediately went to the detective's office the next day, after my shift. My wife is having an affair, after all. I asked the detective. He hesitated to answer. "I don't think it's even worse than that." He said the detective looked so serious that I had to restrain myself from interrupting him in first place. "It's probably true that his wife has been on bereavement leave at work, but I have to ask you if you are really married to your wife," said the detective. "What do you mean we signed the marriage papers 6 months ago?" I answered. "Actually, I went to New York and I located them at their house. I saw them coming home from daycare according to their neighbors. They have lived there for 4 years. She went back to New York several times a year. She stayed there for a week for the funeral of her husband's grandfather, who also lived in New York." I was speechless. It is difficult to judge since you and Anna had the same last name to begin with. I recommend that you consult with the registration department. The detective thanked him for his advice, and I went to the city hall. I asked them to confirm the residence of the members of my family, but only, it appeared. "I can't be. This can't be." "It's okay. I got married 6 months ago." I stayed confused and shouted, complaining to the staff. The employee seemed worried. "I'm sorry, but we didn't find any record of your marriage." He told me I insisted and begged him. "My wife's name is Anna Smith." I told him I was about to cry, and the staff kept apologizing to me, saying they were very sorry. I was still confused. I tried to remember the day we registered our marriage, as I remember I was at work. But she kept insisting that our horoscope was good that day. Anna insisted on going alone to the town hall to register our marriage. It never occurred to me that the registration had not been submitted once I started crying. I decided I was sorry for the inconvenience I told the staff, and I left the town hall. I went home, and I thought of all the exhausting things I have done after my night shift every day. I fell asleep on the couch, wondering what to do next. When I woke up, I saw Anna making me dinner. Seeing her like that reminded me of the man and the girl in the picture. I was furious about the fact that my wife cheated on me, but I knew that if I lost my mind, I wouldn't be able to catch her. So I held back my emotions from that day on. I put a smile in front of Anna and went on with my life. It's been a week since I went to the town hall. I've been thinking about how I could find out something about Anna's real husband. Anna is a bit forgetful, and that day she forgot her phone. I was out of work, so I thought about giving it to her. But first I decided to check what was on her phone. It's not usually a good idea to look at other people's phones without permission, but I didn't have time to worry about that. The stress was getting to me. So I had to know it was easy to unlock the phone because Anna sometimes says the password out loud. There was a man in her contacts who had the girl in the photo as his profile picture. Immediately, I called the man on the third ring. A man answered. "Hello, who is this?" He had a calm-sounding voice. "Are you Anna's husband, Smed?" I asked the man's voice changed to a doubtful tone. "Yes, it is me I am talking to." He said, "I met Anna when I was traveling for work. I told him I am sorry to be the one to tell you, but now we live together." So she had another man, after all she told me. "I plan to come to your area to see my wife's family at the end of the year. Would you meet me?" Then she asked me. It was an unexpected turn of events. I gladly accepted such a kind offer. At that moment, I received a message from Anna. "Unfortunately, I can't stay here on New Year. I'm going back to my city for the 31st and the 1st, and she told me her plans. I've been waiting for Anna to tell me this. Of course, I immediately said yes, according to what her husband told me. And her hometown is the village next door. Anna had told me that her parents had passed away and that she had no relatives. In fact, her parents are still alive and live in the village next door, a month away for New Year. I looked for a lawyer specialized in domestic conflicts, and I came up with a plan to get revenge on her Anna. I acted normally with Anna until the day of my plan, but playing pretend with her was at last. A month later the day came. I told Anna that on the 30th I had to work the night shift. Have a good trip. Happy New Year, I told her. I left her job with a smile. I had already taken vacation from the 30th to the 2nd of December. On the 30th, I stayed in a hotel, and on the 31st, I went to see her husband sitting there. He looked like a gentleman. Exactly, like in the photo. His name was Roy. He had married Anna for 6 years. They have a 5-year-old daughter. The girl in the photo. We briefly introduced ourselves, and we started working on the plan. Roy had flown in from New York with his parents and his daughter. I told him to leave his daughter with her grandmother at the hotel. I thought she was too young for our conversation. Roy, her father, and I headed to Anna's parents' house. It seemed like Roa hadn't spoken to Anna's parents in advance. They immediately began to apologize when they saw me. I was stunned. On the eve of the 31st, Anna came back home as planned. "I'm home," she said, and opened the door to the living room. "Welcome," I said. The person who greeted her wasn't her parents or Roa. It wasn't me. When she saw me, the blood drained from her face. "How did you get here?" she asked me. She seemed surprised. "What's going on? I thought you and I were married here," I asked her. I smiled calmly. "No, it's not what you think," she stuttered. She stood there, frozen and pale. Roa, her father, and Anna's parents gathered around us. Everyone stared at Anna with demonic expressions. Roy opened his mouth to speak. "How is this possible? We just had our first child. But for the sake of your promotion, you went to live alone, then you had an affair, and you started to live a double life." Roa's carefree tone caught me off guard. I was glad he was on my side. I spoke, adding something to what he had said. "Anna, it seems that every time you go on a business trip, you meet up with your other family. Why did you come to me, even though you were already married? You thought you could fool me. This marriage is a fraud. You are an idiot of human garbage. And when I asked in our company about your business trips, they told me that you almost never travel. You already have a great husband and a beautiful daughter. I feel like an idiot for having believed you." And to the side while we both stared at her. But suddenly she started to laugh. "Why did you have to find out I was enjoying living a double life? You know, especially John, you were something. We have the same last name. So it was easy to cheat on you, and since you work almost exclusively at night, I could have fun. All I wanted." And her mother scolded her. "I didn't raise you to be like that." "Well, you had 3 other lovers besides me." I didn't show her the photo as proof. Anna panicked. "What are you? A stalker. I'm going to sue you," she said madly. "I thought you were cheating on me. So I had to gather detective evidence. I will make sure you pay me and Roy a large amount of money for this." Anna fell on her knees and started begging. She said, "Sorry, please, anything but the money. I will continue to see you both like until now. So don't make me pay for this." She yelled at us while crying. I was stunned, speechless, but I managed to ask her what she meant. He said he had no money because he had been paying too much. His lovers. "I didn't care. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. You will hear from my lawyer." I told him with those words. I left Dennis' house after that. I went to a lawyer. I sued Anna for damages for falsifying our marriage. I am grateful to the lawyer because I got my money back. I felt sorry for him and told him that I would pay him part of the money. Although only a small amount, he refused. Rather, he thanked me for having provided him with the evidence of Anna's affair. Somehow we became friends. Roy said that one of Anna's other lovers paid him compensation. He broke with Anna. Of course, he also received maintenance, or the men that Anna had an affair with was her co-worker. That coworker was demoted and transferred to a subsidiary. Then another younger colleague started making Anna do extra work. She works very hard every day, but she has to pay my severance, so she can't quit work no matter how hard she gets. I, for my part, have moved out of the house I was living in, and I have rented a room big enough to live in. I just lead a comfortable life. I visit New York every year to see Ray, her daughter, and we also keep in touch.